Hi, everyone. Welcome to again to our world audience to SmartCon #1. Thank you for joining us in this session. My name is Yaser Jazouane. I head data products at Chainlink Labs. I'll be your moderator for this session. As I alluded to in my in the previous session, one of the main objectives of Chainlink is obviously to provide all of you app developers and the DeFi community as a whole with quality and reliable data, data that is accurate, that is complete, consistent, reliable, and and always up to date. But the Chainlink network would not be able to provide such service that have stayed reliable even through market challenges without the close collaboration between Chainlink and the data providers that are day in and day out curating and securely delivering data throughout the network. So to discuss this important topic today, I'm pleased to be joined by a number of our data partners: Rishi Singh from Tingo, Max Engelen from Crypto Compare, Isaque Eberhardt from Agrio, Rob Reed from Everest, and John Wilcock from DXFeed. So thank you again all for joining us. So to start, I'd like to open the panel to everyone to introduce a bit more about the data that you provide and your current partnership with Chainlink. Let's start with you, Rishi, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm the CEO of Tingo. The type of data we typically provide is cross-asset data, whether that's crypto, equities, Forex, other different data sets, and we also provide an analytics layer. Our collaboration with Chainlink, we are a node operator and also a data provider for many of the different oracles.
Max?
Hi, Max, Head of Sales at Crypto Compare. If you haven't heard of us, we're a market-leading data aggregator. We collect data from around 250 venues, and we deliver that in real time via our API, as well as historically. We're probably best known for our aggregated index methodology, which is used heavily within Chainlink oracles and smart contracts. We're very stoked to be here today and to support the Chainlink network. We support Chainlink as a market data aggregator and are looking forward to continuing to support the network with ultra-reliable data.
Isaque.
Hey everyone, it's Zach, co-founder of Agrio. We work as a kind of oracle for financial applications in ag space, so lending, insurance, trade finance for commodities and other agricultural products. And we combine different sources of data from satellite data, weather, and multiple other sources to deliver inside of the Chainlink network the ability for everyone who is listening to start to build the financial layer of the lending, the insurance, the trade, the parametric insurance for the crops, and solve a lot of problems for our society today. More than happy to start to enable a next level of services for financial inclusion of this ecosystem, which is pretty behind of all the other finance in our society.
John?
Hi, John Wilcock, board advisor at DXFeed. DXFeed is a traditional market data provider from formerly the securities industry as a primary focus. So things like equities data from US and other global venues, indices and things of that sort from the likes of a Dow Jones or an S&P, things of that nature, providing them to broker dealers, and more recently, a participant in the Chainlink ecosystem as a provider of data sets to a number of the nodes, but also as a node operator ourselves. So we've been bringing to market things like some of those equity data sets into the Chainlink environment, and also recently announced our delivery of a implied volatility index for both Ether and Bitcoin. So very excited to have that get introduced soon.
And last but not least, Bob.
I am the CEO of Everest. As we say here, this side, we do identity and eKYC data, if you will, prove you are who you say you are. As we're seeing all the regulation come down in DeFi, we can even supply KYC for all of Chainlink's partners. So if you can see the diagram behind me, we're in the process of setting up our node. Therefore, all of Chainlink's partners will be able to, if you will, query us, determine, are you who you say you are? Are you a live human? Do you have proper KYC AML credentials? And yeah, we're excited to partner. It's a big partnership for us.
Thank you so much, everyone. So on the topic of data quality, we're all very familiar with the saying of garbage in, garbage out. So for those who have, for those among us that have spent enormous amount of time dealing with data, cleansing data, figuring out the right data sources, qualifying their quality over time, etc. It is quite an extensive topic. It's a time-consuming topic. Our role as a network, with the help of all these providers, is obviously to make it easier for app developers to consume reliable data. I'd like to ask you more into the specifics around data quality for each one of you, and related to the verticals for which you provide data on continuous basis. What does data quality mean to you, and also what potentially it means to your end consumers or whoever consumes your data? Let me start with Bob, if you don't mind.
Sure. So the quality of data question relative to identity and KYC is quite literally the difference between being in business and being out of business, being in jail or not in jail, quite simply, like, or even an election. Like, we have to prove you are who you say you are. You literally are not on an AML CFT PEP list, and our partners are utterly reliant on the quality of our data to produce that. So we take it almost like a religious fervor that the data that comes in is good.
Thank you. Isaque?
Thanks, Yaser. So considering the type of market we are addressing here in terms of lending, insurance, and credit scoring, for example, for people which are unbanked today, quality is the ability to, over time, so since 2000 up to today, the year 2000 up to today, be able to prove everything which happened in a field, for example, when a farmer is asking for a loan, and be able to compare that over time and say, okay, 2010 you have a loss, but all the other years you have a good season, you have very low risk, and so on and so forth. So quality is a spatial attribute, a temporal attribute, in intercomparable measures, let's say this way, from multiple variables, and with that, the financial providers can really leverage the decision process. But that is a kind of missing space for the entire ag space, and we are helping to leverage that type of quality and bring that to the Chainlink ecosystem, especially because when you think about that type of possibilities, you can basically automatize, with quality, you can automatize the DeFi applications, and really interesting next steps on top of that.
Thank you. John?
So I think from my perspective, and again, focused on, let's say, traditional markets as what we would look at there as DX feed in terms of what is important, it comes down to transparency and reliability. So if we're producing an index and that's to be consumed by a user group, it has to be repeatable because they have to understand the methodology, and they may have to have a very high degree of precision to calculate down to a very small number of decimals, because that could still be a significant amount of money if you are incorrect by even the 5th or 10th decimal in some cases. ETFs, for example, hundreds of billions of dollars worth of value at risk for things like that. And even in the DeFi ecosystem, I think I've seen recently total loan to value is well over 60, 70 billion at this point. So, one wrong tick of data somewhere could be a very significant problem. So that to me is highly important, and especially reliability. And I say that not just with respect to it arrives when it is meant to arrive in principle, as far as today you get data or tomorrow you don't, which is a critical business function, but even with respect to things like timeliness. So if it's 5 p.m. that a certain data point must be published because there is some event that relates to that is deterministic, and there is also, a lack of latency, generally speaking, in that data becoming available valuable because, blockchain has a very interesting market structure as far as what it introduces with this consensus series of mechanisms, but asynchronous availability of data to participants can be a really big problem too, when in a financial market, somebody has access to information at a different time and can make a decision ahead of or behind somebody else. That could be either a profit or loss situation, that could be a fairness of access situation, a number of factors at play like that.
Absolutely. The topic also, one topic that is very dear to my to us at Chainlink as well is what you touched upon, John, there with regards to benchmark production, is how the reproducibility of the methodologies and the fact that even the methodologies are open source is really, really important to keep track of how these indices can be generated, and it makes them tamper-proof to any kind of potential manipulation by malicious parties. Sorry, Max, if you could add on what data quality means for you guys at Crypto Compare and how important you see it for the DeFi ecosystem and beyond.
Yeah, thanks, Yaser. So, Crypto Compare, we started in 2013, literally with that in mind, and just to being ultra reliable and accurate, right? So basically, two things that we found to be the most important things to make sure that people can rely on us is our infrastructure, so we can collect every tick. To what John has said is that one small miss of a tick, or could move a smart contract, or could even liquidate a smart contract. And then two is a pricing methodology, which you've touched on, Yaser, is that it's open source and that it's easy to be able to replicate. So one, we've built a very strong infrastructure to be able to collect all this data, to be able to push out this reliable data to our users, and then a methodology that we can recreate and trust to be able to use for aggregated price feeds. So why is it important? Smart contracts are using it for lending rates and of course for liquidation prices and post-trade execution. If you are not reliable enough, you likely won't be used by nodes or of course the Chainlink ecosystem in general. And being reliable is literally the name of the game for a market data aggregator, and that's what we think is most important.
Rishi, sorry, apologies. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, everyone here has touched upon really important topics from accuracy, reliability, and the implications of if the data is incorrect. The only thing I would add to that is the question of what is data cleanliness. It matters to different types of clients. They're actual we found there are different definitions depending on the client, and the two are valuation use cases and trading use cases. Right, so a valuation use case, let's take, for example, a flash crash where a price plummets and then in the next trade goes back to normal. A valuation use case is concerned about what is the fair price for this asset. And typically you'll find derivatives and other smart contracts that are based on this, because that flash crash was an outlier. It's not representative of what the actual value of for example, crypto pair is. Now, the trading use case is a little different. Let's say you're a trader, and you're building a trading system. You see a flash crash in the moment. You don't know if that's real or not. There could be news that hit the tape that you're not aware of. And so you need to build a robust trading system that can handle that. And in some cases, you might be able to actually profit off that if you're able to detect this is a fat finger trade or outlier trade. So you have two different use cases. You have a valuation perspective in which certain data, you're trying to determine the fair value, and a trading perspective in which you want all the raw messiness, grossness that can happen.
Yeah, absolutely, Rishi. And it's really interesting also to see how the DeFi is kind of going through an evolution where actually the use cases of data are starting to span between or cross into pre-trade kind of data requirements, and not only just for post-trade kind of valuations and mark-to-market kind of use cases. And the use of the data, as we all probably would know, is there. You said it yourself, Rishi, as well, is there are two different data types, really. You don't really, for pre-trade, you don't aggregate, you don't, you want all the noise and the signal, both of them to be available to you. So yeah, it's interesting to see the evolution of DeFi into also beyond just valuation use cases. Actually, one thing also that is quite important in our space, maybe it's a question to Bob and Isaque, like data provenance is also quite an interesting qualifier of the data quality. You guys are not dealing with price related data per se, but you're dealing with important data sets that contribute into an evaluation of risk, whatever the risk is that you're modeling, whether it's an insurance premium or it's a qualification of an end user, or etc. Could you please tell the audience a little bit more about how certifying or cryptographically verifying data provenance is quite a critical element to provide secure data on chain to the consuming applications? Bob.
Sure. So in identity world, there's something called the foundational identity, which is if you scan your driver's license, national ID, passport, something that is government legal foundation, associating that with your live biometrics then actually gives you that anchor, and you can cryptographically verify that I actually am who I say I am, right? Additionally, when you add credentials like Bob's not on the money laundering or terrorist list, those again need to be reliable sources, cryptographically signed and attached to my live biometrics that then I can share. By the way, it comes down to the way we do it is the user has the right to share whatever they want to share, not everything else about my identity. And so giving that good quality source in, verifying all of that, and then letting the user choose what they want to share. Those are, if you will, some pretty complicated smart contracts in order to make that handoff happen.
Awesome. Isaque, if you can touch upon or you can add on the importance of data provenance.
Yes. Think about when you are collecting multiple sources from, let's say, from NASA, from European Space Agency, and a bunch of private providers. One of the things for ourselves to help, for example, a DeFi application insurance to be able to assure everything is to keep track where it's coming from, what is applied in the middle of the process, what's the results, and everything which is shared with the DeFi application itself. So for ourselves, the provenance it's a kind of history on track of every single step in the process. So basically, after a processing on this ecosystem, everybody can go check and verify everything. It's completely different for anything you can see in the market today in terms of traditional finance. And nevertheless, it's that problems in the traditional finance is what generates a lot of the noise and the no's for the lending operation, for the insurance operation. So provenance will break down this mistrust and noise on this market too, particularly because think about, we are talking about a market where a farmer is 100 kilometers from a bank and nobody knows him and so on and so forth. Different space.
No, thank you very much for that. All right, let me switch gears and also talk about the importance of the Chainlink network to each one of you as data providers, as indices providers or developers, etc. How so far has Chainlink as a network enabled you to open up your data to new use cases? If you could tell the audience and you could tell our DeFi community out there, and other data providers potentially in the audience that are looking into interested in joining this network, how has it helped you? Many of you and have experienced great successes with the Chainlink network. So I would love for you to to share it with the audience. Rishi, if I can start from you, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so obviously delivering our data on chain using the Chainlink network as a framework to get that data is very important to me from a DeFi perspective. But I think outside of that, expanding back a bit, the implications of immortalizing data on blockchain for historical reasons is really profound. And I wrote an article about this on Chainlink today, but the idea that historically data could be destroyed, even on digital medium, and that actually happened, in different cases I described. But to have that immortalized is so powerful, and also it has this added benefit of opening data to everybody, right? If we look at different asset classes, a license to deliver data might cost an individual several thousand a month. But what has happened in crypto because of Chainlink, because we can easily write this data, and not only easily write it, but easily access this data, you're now able to empower a whole new generation of traders who, let's be honest here, crypto's appealed to a whole new generation of traders, developers, and by lowering the cost of the distribution of data, we can keep data, expanded to all. And we pay gas once, and that data is written for everybody, even lowering our cost of distribution of data, which is a really profound thought. And one thing I'll quickly leave with this, we've seen developers reach out to Chainlink, they immediately get to us. It's an amazing thing. In the last 15 years, I've never seen such collaboration among different companies for a coordinated, one common goal, a mission, and a benefit. And that's what I think Chainlink has really helped us with.
Thank you. John, go ahead, sir.
I think it's been a fascinating experience. I mean, personally, I've been involved in crypto since probably the earliest days of 2011. So I've had an affinity for these sorts of systems for my own reasons for a long time. But coming from a traditional market sort of business perspective, this opens not only new opportunities to meet an audience that is otherwise inaccessible, because literally smart contracts can't come to you and do a business-to-business agreement and things of that nature. And so doors open in that respect. It's been fantastic, and a whole audience of inspired, complex products creators who are able to acquire content in a way that is physically deliverable but also commercially appealing, which also means great monetization opportunities for us, and I think the rest of the sort of traditional industry to also understand and learn from, because I think a lot of the business process of delivering data so far in sort of the traditional universe is ripe for change, right? A lot of this very complex and high inefficiency, high friction contracting has the opportunity to be improved upon or learn from this, or be driven entirely by some variant of a Chainlink-like, if not Chainlink itself, set of systems. There's a lot of monetization and permissioning and things of that sort, which very simply don't need to be done the way they have been done thus far. It's very exciting.
Awesome. Max?
Yeah, so Chainlink are certainly a massive partner for the gateway to decentralized finance, and the developers that are building pretty much the next gateway to the internet of finance, right? So we've got roughly $80 billion now locked in smart contracts. This is our gateway to be able to provide data to this audience. And also Chainlink are incredibly important to us as a data provider to indicate what developers want. What data sets do they want us to create? What data sets are most important? We have great analytics to be able to see that. And then, of course, we also have a great venue to be introduced to developers and vice versa. Developers introduce us to Chainlink and alike. And now that Chainlink's going multi-chain, we're very much look forward to meeting even more developers going forward.
Absolutely. Bob?
Sure. So give you context, we received the eKYC grant from the Ethereum Foundation, and so we publish out there, but it's costly. It's not quite as, if you will, easy to use. And so Chainlink is probably going to be one of our most important partnerships going forward because of the reach. I mean, it's literally exponentially, you can get to that many more nodes, people, DeFi projects that actually can use our data. So if you will, we're all in, and I think it's probably going to be the most important thing we do going through Q4 and into next year.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm afraid that we're drawing closer to the end of this session. I would like to say thank you very much to all the panelists. Thank you so much for taking time off your Saturdays to join us at SmartCon. To the audience, hope you found it informative. Please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us in this panel with any questions or queries that you might have. Thank you so much, and see you all soon. Thank you.
Thanks.